All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle a big one, an idea that pretty much flips everything you've probably learned about business, health, and debt completely on its head. I mean, really think about this for a second. What if a company's debt piling up was, actually a good thing, a sign of success? It sounds crazy, right? We're all taught that debt is this big, scary monster, something to run from. But that's exactly the paradox we're going to dive into and unravel today.
Okay, so how do we even start to make sense of this? Well, the key, the absolute secret, is understanding that not all debt is the same. It's not all created equal. The answer is kind of hiding in plain sight on a company's balance sheet, and it's all about telling the difference between two very, very different types of IOUs.
So on one side, you've got what we call financial liabilities. Yeah, these are the usual suspects, right? The stuff that comes to mind when you hear the word debt. Bank loans, corporate bonds, that kind of thing. But then there's this other category, operating liabilities. And this is where the hidden story is. These debts pop up from the normal, everyday rhythm of just doing business. We're talking about money owed to suppliers or even cash you've gotten from customers up front. And believe me, they tell a completely different story. And here it is. This is the absolute heart of the paradox. When these kinds of liabilities, the operating ones, start to climb, it's often not a sign of trouble. It's a signal that business is absolutely booming. The company is buying more, it's selling more, it's growing. This good debt can actually be a fantastic sign of a healthy, thriving business. So let's peel back the layers here. Let's decode these company IOUs so you can see for yourself what this good debt really looks like. If you can get your head around these next two concepts, you'll be able to read the real story behind the numbers.
Okay, first up, accounts payable. The easiest way to think about this is like a company's running tab with its suppliers. Now, if you see this number going up, what does that tell you? It means the company is ordering more stuff, more raw materials, more goods. And why on earth would they do that? Well, because they're getting ready to make and sell more. They're ramping up, expecting growth. It's a huge vote of confidence in their own future.
Next, we have something called unearned revenue, or an advance. This is just a beautiful thing from a business perspective. This is when your customers are so excited to get what you're selling that they literally pay you before you've even delivered the product or service. Now, sure, from a strict accounting point of view, it's a liability. You still owe them something. But think about it. What a great problem to have, right? There's this great saying that just perfectly captures this. A salesperson walks in. They've just landed a huge customer payment up front. They feel like a hero. But what does the accounting team see? They look at the books and say, great, you've just brought us a pile of debt. It's the perfect example of how one person's victory is another person's liability, a debt that's literally born from success.
So you've got all these moving parts, right? Sales, these advances from customers, credit from suppliers, and it all leads to the single most important question in any business. What is actually happening with the cash? Because look, profit is one thing, but cash is king. It's what keeps the lights on. You've probably heard this phrase a million times, but it is so true. Profit is an opinion, but cash is a fact. And there's a really good reason we keep saying it. A company can show a massive profit on its income statement, but if that profit isn't actually turning into cold, hard cash in the bank, that company could be in some serious, serious trouble. The cash flow statement is where the truth lives.
And this brings us to the flip side of the coin, kind of the dark side of making sales. It's called accounts receivable. This is all the money that customers owe you for stuff they've already gotten. Now, when this number starts to balloon, it's like a blood clot forming in the company's arteries. The heart, which is the sales team, is pumping like crazy, but the lifeblood of the company, the cash, is getting stuck. It's not flowing.
So how do we actually connect the dots? How do we get from that opinion we call profit to the fact we call cash? Well, here's the basic roadmap that accountants use. They start with net profit. Simple enough. Then they add back any expenses that didn't actually involve cash leaving the building. Think depreciation. And then, and this is the magic step, they adjust for all those changes in what's called working capital. And that's exactly what we've been talking about, that dance between inventory, the money people owe you, and the money you owe your supplier.
Okay, theory is one thing, but let's make this super concrete. Let's walk through a really simple example, just over 2 months, to see exactly how a company that looks profitable on paper can actually have zero cash to show for it. All right, here's the scenario.
In month 1, our company spends $100 in cash to make some widgets to build up its inventory. Then in month 2, it sells all of that inventory for $150. But, and this is the crucial part you have to remember, it sells it on credit. The customer is going to pay them later.
So let's look at the income statement for month 2. I mean, on the surface, this looks great. The company records $150 in revenue. They subtract the $100 it costs them to make the stuff, and voila, a nice clean $50 profit. If you just looked at this, you'd think, hey, great job. So common sense would tell you, okay, they made $50 in profit, so they should have $50 more in the bank, right? I mean, that makes sense. But did they? Is that what really happened to their cash?
Okay, now we dig into the real story, the cash flow story. First, that inventory that cost us $100, it's gone. We sold it. So turning stuff into a sale is good for cash. So that's a positive $100 adjustment. But, and this is the big one, because we sold it on credit, our accounts receivable, that IOU from our customer, went up by $150. And since that's cash we haven't actually gotten yet, it's a negative $150 hit to our cash. So you've got plus 100 minus 150, the net impact on our cash from all this activity was actually negative $50.
And here comes the punchline. We take that $50 profit from the income statement, and then we apply that negative $50 adjustment we just figured out from the cash flow. So 50 minus 50 equals a big fat zero. That's right. Despite showing a $50 profit, the company's actual cash from its operations for the month didn't change at all. It's the perfect, crystal clear example of why profit is not the same thing as cash.
So what's the bottom line here? How can you actually use this information to be a smarter investor, a sharper analyst, or just a better business owner? Let's wrap this all up into a quick and easy financial health checklist.
Okay, here's what you need to burn into your brain. First, not all debt is bad. Rising operating liabilities can actually be a green flag, a sign of growth. Second, don't just look at that one number. Check if other things, like inventory, are also growing to confirm the story. Third, and I can't say this enough, always connect the profit number back to the cash flow statement. And finally, if you see that accounts receivable, the money customers owe, is growing way faster than sales, that's a huge warning sign. That's your potential cash flow blood clot right there.
So from now on, when you see a headline freaking out about a company's debt going up, you're not going to panic. You're going to be the smart one in the room. Your first question won't be, oh no, are they in trouble? It's going to be, hold on, what kind of debt is it? And asking that one simple question, well, that changes everything. That's all for this explainer.